Hello? Wow. Hello, welcome to my floor. I just felt like this was a video where I should just sit on the floor. It's like we're just hanging out, having a good time. Also, welcome to my acne and glasses face, because not every day do I want to spend like an hour and a half on my face and wasting my life. And please excuse me being a human being. I have acne and vision impairment. Anyway, so it's been a while since I said that I was going to do a video with this, because if anyone was paying attention to when I did a book review on No Longer Human by... I cringe every time I have to say Japanese names because I think I'm saying it so badly because my English makes everything sound so flat. Dazai Osamu's... I'm so sorry. Anyway, his book, No Longer Human. Afterwards, I said that I would be reading, oh god, another Japanese name, Chuya Nakahara? Nakahara? God, I can't say Japanese names out loud, it makes me cringe. Anyway, I was gonna do his poetry next. So let's get started on these poems, what I thought. I have some of the ones that I really like marked with cats, and then I also have some ones that I had a hard time understanding marked in these post-it notes, because your girl needs notes because I don't understand certain words and I don't understand certain symbolism, and so it helps me to just organize my thoughts. And of course this took longer than like reading a short story or reading a book, because these are all like basically miniature stories that you can't just read back to back, because then it's not really doing the previous story justice if you don't think about it and analyze what the author was trying to say. So it did take me a little bit to get through. The one thing is I wanted to read him because I read one of his poems online and I really liked it. But then whenever I got his book, I didn't realize that he mostly does descriptive poems about like different things, scenes and stuff that he's looking at. And I don't like descriptive poetry. So I was like, when I started reading through it, I was like, oh no. It's like, I don't really like descriptive poems. It's not that they aren't artful in their own way and that they're not beautiful. It's just I like more about people's emotions and breaking them open rather than being like, the green plant sits beautifully in the bowl of water. Obviously that's not doing in descriptive poems justice. I'm just kind of making fun of them right now, but that's just an example of like, it wasn't really my taste. However, looking overall at the entire list of poetry of Nakahara's work, it was actually really good overall, and I do still enjoy descriptive poetry, just it's not my most favorite type of poetry to read. And so I guess the one poem that I had read by him, which I don't remember what was now online, was not descriptive poetry, so I was not expecting that. I thought that the translator notes in this were also very nice. Especially because they prefaced at the beginning that, the translation over in their words, this has done particular violence to the syllabic basis of the verse, generally held to be one of Nakahara's great poetic strengths. Why can't I read today? We did lose some of his wording and how it was supposed to flow with like meter and tempo, I don't know, meter and rhyme and stuff, was lost. But honestly, if we're being truthful, unless if I specifically look for meter and stuff in a poem, I don't normally catch it because my brain just, I guess, doesn't work that way. I can read poems that rhyme without realizing that they rhyme. Another thing that I did like was that the translators also included like little footnotes in certain areas where certain things wouldn't make sense to an English reader, but they would make sense to a Japanese reader. But they also put at the beginning, some of Nakahara's images and metaphors may strike the Western reader as strange. Notes have been provided wherever helpful, but in general, this strangeness is not a product of any cultural gap, nor of the translation process is Nakahara's own. So that's like really nice and refreshing to see in someone's writings, instead of just being like her coat was green like the grass. Like, that's a very boring simile, and it's nice to see that the author has his own things that may not actually make that much sense to just the plain observer, but that when you actually look deeper into it, it's like, oh, well, that was a strange and different cool metaphor and illusion that he's using there. So that is nice to see. So where should we start in my notes? I don't have that many, but I don't want to make this video super duper long. Boyhood, let's do that one, because I have some notes. I guess I'll go ahead and read it in case you don't have the book but you're still just interested in this for whatever reason. If you're interested in the book, this is on page 20 if you have the book, and we're in like a little actual book club right now, which leave all of your comments and opinions on my interpretations and such and other things below. So the summer sun shone down on blue-black stones. The garden earth was sleeping with vermilion. Side note, vermilion, brilliant red pigment made from mercury sulfide, likens to the red of the sun. Because I didn't know what vermilion was. Anyway, on the horizon, vapor rising was like omens of the end of the world. The wheat field where the wind beat roaring was dim and gray, like shadows cast by flying clouds, passing over the field's face, an ancient giant's countenance. The summer afternoon, when some were napping, I was running in the fields. I was champing, that's a weird word, hope between my teeth. I despaired with dazzled eyes. Ah, alive, I was alive. So in my notes I just have the giant's grace as if he is the field. So basically, and this reading of, where is it? Passing over the field's face, an ancient giant's countenance. So the field is like into the face of a giant, basically. That's just a nice little metaphor in there. Then we have my other note, shows field as boring, but feeling shifts to a child's eyes with hope and life. So you see the wheat field where the wind beat roaring was dim and gray, but then at the end we have a child running in the wheat field saying, with dazzled eyes, ah, alive, I was alive. So it's very nice contrast between like plain adult observance of a field and then like what we see in our childhood, which is why I think it's titled Boyhood. You know, he was young, youthful, enjoying life. I guess I'll just go ahead and do the one right next to it, which is called Little Sister. Night, a beautiful soul crying. She is righteous, but night, a beautiful soul crying. I don't mind dying now, it said. The night wind blowing over the wet field's black earth, short grass. I don't mind dying, I don't mind dying, the beautiful soul cried. Night, the sky was high, the wind blowing was tender. I could do nothing but pray. So on my notes on this one, I have Sick Sister, ? Since it's titled Little Sister and talking about death and beautiful soul crying, like a little girl crying, and the family's mourning over her. The night dies with daylight, so during the night, beautiful soul crying, night, the sky was high, you know, like the idea of as night was fading, so was this little girl, and then the daylight. A child's ignorance about death, I don't mind. So basically the little girl, you know, the parents are probably crying over her like, oh my gosh, you're dying, but the little girl doesn't understand death and the fact that, you know, once she's gone, she can't come back to her parents, so she's accepting it and she's like, no, it's fine, like, don't cry. I don't mind if I die, but it's because she doesn't really fully understand what is happening. So that was depressing, which, I actually realized after reading this book the huge contrast between Nakahara and Dazai. Sorry, the arrangement of family names and first names in Japanese makes me have to question myself. Because Dazai was very much like, I want to die. Like, very open about, like, life sucks. I want to die. Oh, it's raining. Just very more melancholic depression kind of thing. But Chuya Nakahara, in contrast, was more of a things can be sad sometimes in some of his poems, but for the most part there's an underlying theme of hope or something more positive. I think he saw the beauty in like little everyday things as opposed to Dazai, who very much was just like doom and gloom. Nakahara, and that's, I just read one of Dazai's books, so maybe he's not always like that. Nakahara in contrast was definitely more like look at this piece of grass is beautiful and life has meaning because this grass is so beautiful. And that's something that we can appreciate. I think we can appreciate both sides of those characters, but I heard that those authors did hate each other, so it makes sense now to me why they hated each other, because they very much were contrasting with each other and each other's views. So now I'll just read one or two that I like, and hopefully I remember why I like them. That sounds bad, but sometimes, you know, you read something once and then you go back to it and you're like, well, that was garbage. Please don't be too loud, Rain. Ooh, this one looks good. I don't remember how it goes. Spring Days Caprice, page 98. When someone you love dies, you've got to kill yourself. When someone you love dies, other than that, there's nothing else to do. But nonetheless, if your sins are deep, and if you go on living, you should have a sense of service. You should have a sense of service. Because someone you love has died, certainly has died. Because there's no way now, for that one's sake, you must have a sense of service. You must have a sense of service. So just going off of the top of my head, since I don't have any notes on this clearly, I mean, I feel like it's pretty much in your face, like survivor's guilt, basically. When someone near you dies, you kind of feel like, it should have been me, but you're also kind of relieved and happy that you're alive. And so it's very much just like, you should have a sense of service, like you should do something for other people now. You should really use your life to go and do something because this person doesn't have that opportunity anymore. So like, have service like to them, even though, you know, you yourself might want to have taken their place or something. So that's just off the top of my head. You could probably get way deeper and better than that. I like analyzing poetry, but I'm, like I say, not trying to make this video 5,000 years long. Cold night. In the winter night, my heart is grieving without reason. My heart is rusty purple behind the solid door, an old day's abstraction. On the hilltop, cotton seeds burst open. Here the firewood smolders, the smoke as if it knows itself ascends. Without being invited, without wanting to, my heart smolders. Just very nice, descriptive, cold night, kind of sad a little bit. All of the poems that I've chosen from him are kind of sad, except for the boyhood one. That was nice. I guess that means I like sad poetry. But if you have any book suggestions or anything, please leave them in the comments down below. I think after this, I got this from a free book bin. It's called Love, Let Me Not Hunger by Paul Gallico. It does not have the book cover. Had no information on it. I've already read it, but all I have is this little torn out thing, and this was a very different book than what I expected. But let's read this one next. If anyone cares to join me and read everything that I'm reading. This one, I've never heard this author before, but he was actually like surprisingly good. I mean, I'm not going to go through everything right now. I need to not do a whole book review on top of a poetry book review. But yeah, well, if you can find this, I don't know if it's going to be very well available. I don't know if he's actually a well-known author or not. But read that one next, and I will come out with a video very soon talking about it. Overall, love Chuya's work. I might be looking for another book of his poems sometime in the future. I think he only did poetry. I don't know about any short stories. If you know of any short stories or anything by him, definitely put them down below, because I would definitely be interested in reading a short story by him. I would be very interested to see what it would be about. I guess I'll see all of you book nerds later. I know that this is definitely a change of pace from my other normal videos that I shoot, but I also really like reading, and I gotten back into it, so. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.